Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming back. I'm Colorfully Simone. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Remember to subscribe down below, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Today's video, kind of just my daily routines happening in quarantine and also painting. So I thought it would be fun to do a still life. I haven't painted from life in quite a long time. With painting recently, I have a lot of ideas that I want to work on and a lot of larger scale paintings, but I find that I keep going to these smaller scale, more traditional things. I think once I kind of gain that energy back, I think once I get moving out into the world once again, and once, I feel like it's the right time, I'll move on to projects that I feel like will actually maybe feel like it's worth entering into a gallery or something like that. But yeah, the still life was fun to make. I really hope you enjoyed the video. So I usually start off my mornings by coming down after I get dressed and making some breakfast. Today, something simple and I've been eating a lot is some oatmeal, and I just heat that up. And then I usually like to chop up some strawberries or put in some raspberry or blueberries, bananas, some fruit in there to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, this is honestly like the most simple vegan meal breakfast that I can eat. Most of my meals are vegan, although I'm not completely vegan. I still eat fish and eggs. No dairy though. So I'm obnoxiously a non-dairy pescatarian. I put some coconut milk in there, one to cool it down, but also just to add some more flavor, and voila!
Jesus.
So, starting off my palette today, I'm working from a still life. I use the specific colors I think I'll probably need for the still life. A lot of earthy tones, a lot of reds, definitely on the warmer side. So yeah, some yellow ochres, burnt sienna, some Prussian blue, some pops of orange and yellow. And then I start by setting up the still life. I honestly didn't really have an idea of how it'd look when it starts, so I kind of went through a couple different variations of what I think would look nice. And I think with still lifes, often prioritizing, maybe what objects you want to highlight in the painting, adding some depth and some height. So I grabbed a candlestick and this taller plant to add that height variation, and then some smaller little things like the earrings. And then I used this cup that I liked, but it didn't work out, so I took it away. And yeah, just adding in that candlestick and trying to figure out the last final little maneuvers that I wanted in there. And then starting the painting, I started with blocking out as much space as I could in the beginning, so starting with that fabric onto the mango and then adding in the books. And then with the mango, the shoe, and kind of when I paint still lifes or anything from life, painting objects that, or really any painting, objects that have a direct correlation, so moving from the mango to the shoe to the book, not jumping around in areas, but always using other objects to reference other objects, and that's how you really create dimension in space. And then adding in that plant right behind the shoe, using a darker brown tone to add in that shadow and make it look like as if there's, perspective in space. I feel like I got a little lazy on the candlestick and just kind of threw in some colors, but definitely could have added more polish and shine. And then a little break. Why not? A little tea break. Drinking a lot of this cinnamon tea lately. And whenever I paint too, I usually don't do it in one burst, so sticking true to what honestly I usually do in my painting times. And then we're just gonna mix up in this palette some whites, some of a kind of pinky tones for any highlights on the sheets or any kind of other things that I think need it. And this is kind of the angle I'm looking down from below and then starting back up, going into the background color, this just kind of simple bluish gray wall tone, nothing too fancy. And then with doing that, and especially going back in, kind of using any paint to push against paint to kind of create those sharper edges. And filling in whatever little white spaces. I think with this canvas too, it has a pretty thick grain to it, so it's a lot of those little bumps, so a lot of white still shines through, so I have to go back a lot of times to make sure everything's completely covered up. And then just going in more highlights, I think with this painting was actually successful in making it look like the shoe had air underneath it, which is always really quite hard to do, to make things look like they're floating in space. Adding any shadows and highlights, and with shadows too, adding color to them I think is really important, and not just doing like a black for a shadow, but you know, shadows, if it's a red cloth, it's going to have a reddish purple tone. If it's the shoe onto a book, it might have like reflection of color. And then just adding some final details with mango. This actually went on longer than what I had here, but the video cut off. Always learning technical difficulties. And then on to plants. I thought, why not show some of the plants I've been collecting. I've literally bought a plant for like every time I've gone out in quarantine. It's getting quite ridiculous. But anytime I go to the grocery store, Home Depot, mint, basil, lavender, partial shade. This is lemon thyme, cilantro, parsley, red, husky cherry red tomatoes, and yellow cherry tomatoes. Some lettuce. Mescaline sweet salad mix.
Mescaline.
Mescaline. Should I make this deeper? More durable. Thank you again so much for watching. Remember to subscribe down below, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll probably be back this week or next week. And yeah, thank you.